to get hex before pulse chain or after doesn't matter. If you get hex before, you're going to have hex on 2 chains. If you make stakes before, you're going to have stakes on 2 chains. And I prefer to see hex expensive on all chains. I don't prefer to see cheap hex anywhere.
What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC. We're live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern with my boy Sam Stolk. Guys, this is probably going to be very disrupting to a lot of your days. So if you want to get on with your day and just all glory to God, go mow your grass, go say hi to everyone, please. But technology is advancing at such a rate that me and Sam are not allowed to stop keeping up for our own moral integrity, because this is what we're doing for work personally. And I know if anything, Sam's like me, his work means a lot to him. It means a lot to me personally. All my work, this is my little time where I do all my things. And when things like this, ETH 2.0, I mean, the proof of work to proof of stake happened. Okay, guys, you were all slipping, sleeping, resting. Not everyone. There's a couple guys on my panel below. They weren't resting, frankly. They were asking questions, just like myself. I called Jesse in a frantic. I would have given him everything I had to send me the information because I was freaking out, like I was so excited. And, but Jesse, we got Jesse, Just Ask Jesse, Sam, Bullish. We're all involved on this chain, guys. And you know why we're all involved? Because Richard Hart spelled it out to me very clearly when I watched his work for this last 6 years of videos that he's made. He said low liquidity assets pump. He said Hex is the best in the world. He said people will copy this on other chains. And as we can see, if you look, and Sam's going to give you these numbers more, HexW is dominating everything in crypto right now. Everything. You know why? Because everything that you knew about it before is true. Someone just copied it again. And whoever gets there first gets better rewards. Everyone wants to go say, stop telling people to buy. Stop telling people to buy. I'm not telling people to buy. I'm telling people I spent $500 and I just got a bigger position than all my boys, and they're all staked up. I ain't got shit. I ain't got money, but I'm smart. And what do I always say, Sam? Don't over leverage. I say keep some USDC on the sidelines. Why, Sam? Because I know how powerful $500 can be when something like this happens and there's no liquidity. And I learned this, and Sam didn't know exactly where I was coming from, but I learned this information from a different source. And I've always said it because it's just like, I know this is how it works. It doesn't make sense in your head to be like $500. You're like, okay, like whatever. But yes, that's how low liquidity assets. This is the theme. I need you guys to understand low liquidity assets. Hex is the best thing in crypto. That's why I buy it whenever it's available cheap on any chain until something comes out that impresses me more. Let's get into it. You heard Richard Hart yourself, Crypto in the Morning, DeFi proof. Just Ask Jesse's here, and we're going to tell you guys how to actually get involved in this stuff with real detail, with real understanding, with real numbers, real liquidity, while everyone else tells you, don't do this because I don't know how. Don't put your money in that. It's scary. I have money over here. Please, everyone hold down. We're fucking killers, dude. We don't care about that shit. We want gains and to learn and to grow and to punch harder so we can educate the entire world properly, guys. Everyone, Crypto in the Morning.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedge on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready sent me to show you the way.
DeFi proof.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Yo, what's good, bro? How you doing? This is a very, very exciting time to be in crypto. The biggest thing has happened. This is bigger than Terra Luna. This is bigger than anything else that's happened in crypto.
This is bigger than the ETH launch.
This is massive. Everybody's getting a free airdrop, effectively, of all of their tokens, right? I tweeted about this 2 weeks ago while you were in Vegas. This is happening. We're getting a preview of Pulse Chain. We're getting free copies on Proof of Work Fork. You can go check my tweets on this. Now it's here live. And the people who are prepared for this is, in all of crypto, is this community. This community has taken some mental energy to think about what happens, how to take advantage of, how to wade through this muck of like information of what's going on and all this with Pulse. And one of those men who's done this, who's taken the time to understand this at a deeper level, taking a little bit of the functioning gray matter and applying that to think about how this might apply, is Jesse. And we've got him on. Morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are all the dead bodies? I'm just joking. No, guys, for everyone who's new in here, haven't seen the show, this is Just Ask Jesse. He is one of the founders of Power City, and he is very smart in this stuff, and he actually pays attention. And I think that's the huge point that we love having you on the show, because let's be honest, you do pay attention and read all of this stuff because you like it.
All hours of the day.
It's so fun.
I'm looking at your tweets. And it's like, Jesse tweeted this or retweeted this 4 hours ago. I was like, wait a second, it's 7 a.m. What the fuck is Jesse doing in the middle of the night?
I was begging Jesse for ETHw, calling. He was like, "You're a pleb." He's like, "We've been there, done that, kid." I was like, "Man, it's 20 minutes," and it's like I'm already late to shit, But Jesse, I want you to have 2 or 3 minutes here. Don't explain who you are because we've done so many shows together. We got to get down to business. What the heck is going on in crypto, and what are you seeing as someone who's been here? How big is this?
I want to start by explaining Hex.
Please.
Hex is, or at least we should want it to be, a globally recognized brand. Okay? What we've seen happen is our beloved Hex has landed on a full system state copy of Ethereum. Now, we can argue whether it's better or worse than Pulse Chain or better than worse than Ethereum. That's irrelevant at the moment. Okay? What we have, many users, there is volume, exchanges are carrying ETHw, projects or protocols are supporting ETHw and getting themselves listed on their website, and it's starting to show that ETHw will actually be around, right? Crypto does weird things. Just because Vitalik decided to fork or upgrade doesn't mean that his creation from before won't continue to live. The people who say, well, what about the security? Okay, there's always risks with a fork, such as replay risks. Those have been mitigated. The risks of that have been looked at. As far as the code, it's the same exact code that Vitalik and all the ETH people wrote. Okay, it's literally a fork.
No, bro, it's a rug, bro. You think these things can just come out of nowhere, bro? No, I'm saying Vitalik's the second most mother effing credible human being, first most in the space. So everything he does will work. Don't need to hear about why you're not buying. I want to know what the people that are actually trying to learn are doing, because Vitalik is the heaviest hitter in the entire space. He just came out with a new chain.
What's really ironic is it's faster and cheaper. Now, millions of people believed that ETH 2.0 and the merge, which we tried to shout to them that it wouldn't, that ETH 2.0 would be faster and cheaper, and it's not. But guess what? Over here, I still have all my coins, and it's way faster and it's way cheaper. So what's actually happening in the broader crypto markets is people are like, "Wow, I prefer faster and cheaper over whatever tech is in the background making it work. The end user at a store, okay? If you go to the store to purchase a product, you don't give two shits what brand of register that the girl behind the counter is ringing your stuff up with. You don't care. You don't care what software it's using or what bank it talks to. All you care is my user experience good? Am I getting a good deal? Are they friendly? Whatever the case, right? But the last thing you care about is what the register is showing or what kind of register it is, right? That same principle applies here in crypto. The nerds in us care about the tech, okay? We care. We're in it for the tech. You hear that, right? Yes. Ethereum 2.0 and the merge is necessary. It paves the way ahead for a better user experience down the road when sharding comes and all that, right?
I felt the user experience was incredible.
But at the moment, it's very lackluster. It didn't do anything. The merge did nothing as far as user experience.
Well, the free coins gave users more potential energy, which is a good experience.
Am I still overpaying
for what? Was I? I have no idea. I was buying so much hex I couldn't even see what the gas was.
No. Like if you're the tech guy, you've got these. You're giving me all these excuses why ETH 2.0 is so great for me, and I say, well, I just paid $5 for gas to do a send, or wow, I just waited 10 minutes for a transaction.
Like legitimacy,
right? 99.99% of crypto people barely know how to get onto MetaMask. Okay, so
the best of the best guys don't know the circulating supplies of the cryptos they own.
So it's weird. It's like I truly believe that ETHw is gaining adoption. Now we have some maxis in the community who say it sucks. The tech sucks. The tech sucks. Okay? It's the same fucking tech you just had 2 days ago.
It's more efficient though because there's no mining hardware, correct?
I'm talking about ETHw. It's the same tech that you had days ago. Now here's something else, right? You might hear something from the Hex community. The miners, they just want to take all your money. Gas looks super cheap to me. Guess what? Pulse Chain is going to have super cheap fees as well, and it's not going to be profitable to be a validator initially. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Jesse, can you talk about the actual security? Because there is definitely multiple arguments to be had that POW is more secure than POS because, well, first of all, you have a brand new tech. What do we know about brand new tech? It shits the bed relatively frequently for unknown reasons or things that we're just not aware of. And then we have something that's legacy, like it's been working. And then that's just one piece of risk, right? But then there's also, if you look at validators, the most validators on POS are located in one geographic region, the United States. So something like 60+% of all validators are in the US. And if I'm the US and I want to control crypto and I don't have a way to control crypto, what can I do? I can use the power within my borders to control that. The example that I like to use is if we're all in a stadium and there's 80,000 people in the stadium and there's 27 doors to leave the stadium and I'm a nefarious actor and I want to control those 80,000 people. Am I going to go into the middle of the stadium and just have my gun and tell them what to do? Or am I going to take 27 dudes and put them at all the exits and control the 80,000 people? And this doesn't even consider that we think of the United States as an autonomous organization, right? But in reality, what also moves in exact lockstep with the United States? Let me think about this for a second. Canada, UK, the EU, which is a conglomerate of 27 fucking countries. Who else is on there? Australia. You know, basically all of the westernized effing world follows what the United States does. So this is a gigantic risk here, or could be a gigantic risk here. Is there any other parts of this that I'm not even talking about? I think that POW could see, like, if the United States within the next X period of time starts to use this strategy, which I could see them starting to use, I think that POW could gain even more adoption.
It's super interesting, right? Now there's other forks that have happened. ETH Classic, now we have ETH. That evolved because of a hack of the MakerDAO protocol, right? They had a couple options: roll back the chain, pause it, whatever. They forked. They just said, we got to fork. They forked out the problem. This is different. This is a whole group of people who say we like for tech to be a certain way. And then the miners say, but you're putting us out of a job, and we kind of like the security of our tech doing it this way. And now you have copies of your coins on each. And to believe that one chain is simply going to die because, you want it to, because you believe that proof of stake is better, there's no way that's the case. All these people have all their miner computers spooled up. They're mining. They're not making, it's not that profitable at the moment, and they are well aware of that. But you know what happens over time is that becomes more and more profitable, just like you will see with Pulse Chain. When the validators aren't making any money, we're not going to run around and say, oh no, the chain's going to die because the validators aren't making money and they'll shut their computers off. No, they're in it for the long haul. And what's proving itself over on ETHw is there's people that are also in it for the long haul.
Guys, retweet that tweet right below right there. I just sent that out on Twitter. If you don't mind just retweeting that, hit the like, hit the subscribe, get some guys in here, start asking questions. Sorry for cutting you off, Jesse.
Now, regarding Hex, globally recognized brand, or at least we want it to be. There are protocols that will survive and thrive on ETHw. Wouldn't it be nice if the user base over on ETHw, whatever that settles out to be, has a trustless, immutable certificate of deposit on the blockchain where they can lock up their things, their money, and protect them from themselves? Or would we like to see the tool that already lives over there that gives them that ability go to zero? It's a no-brainer. You want to see it succeed, and you want to see it be the actually best performing thing on the chain. Because what right now is you have millions of people who are looking at ETHw and saying, wow, what's going on over here? Oh, wow, what's Hex? It's actually really good for Hex and the branding of Hex for people to see that Hex is the best performing thing on the chain that functions exactly as intended. Okay, other things have died over there. Liquidity protocol forked over there. It doesn't work, right? Because of the whole Oracle situation.
Can it work? Can it work?
With fresh contracts, sure.
I mean, can they just make that happen after a few weeks?
If they wanted to.
I think so. I'm going to go ahead and guess on that. I would assume yes, they will do that unless there's a protocol that's already like switching it up over there.
There are staking protocols that use, some levels of decentralization, some Oracle stuff and whatnot that literally cannot work because of the hard-coded in oracles and such, and those protocols will die. And the only way to fix them is to natively launch a new contract. Hex is not that way. Hex resides completely on chain, and it fully functions just as intended as it always does. And it's it's performing. So we want those people to have those tools. The people that choose to stay on ETHw or be on both chains, right? Maybe they like both chains. That same tool that we have on ETH that we've had for years now, for 2 years, that tool should be available to those people over on ETHw. There's no reason why we would want it to go to zero. There's no reason why we would want.
No, don't. This whole work, it's not going to. Men are working. Period, dude. They're all hitting up everyone they know for information right now. everyone in crypto. Everyone has a life as well, so they're not always locked in like us, because whether you're a dev or anything, you're still doing something all day that you have to pay attention to. We're literally paying attention to like crypto adoption constantly and like all of the factors there. This is happening, guys. I just like I'm a feely kind of guy with it. Like I'm like, whoa, everyone's vibing on this right now. Holy smokes, all the young guys are hitting me up, all the old guys are hitting me up, all the rich guys are hitting me up, medium, intermediate, and I'm hitting up guys. I don't care what kind of money they got. If they know how to do some of this shit, I will call them and talk to them because I need to know, because this is happening whether we like it or not. I'm not saying all the price charts will go straight up and to the right, but Vitalik's been talking about this for 6 years. 6 years. He's the most reputable person in the entire crypto space. That what else can happen? Really? Like, what can happen? $6 ETH, a little too heavy? Send it to zero. What? Like, no, it's not going to happen that way. There's no liquidity. Richard Hart taught us about low liquidity assets. The best time to buy is when you cannot sell. The best time to buy is when no one knows what's going on. The best time to buy the same contract that you've been buying for the last 2.5 years was yesterday morning.
This is fascinating, Jesse. On the good points, though, GRC, completely agree. On the POW and POS, I love the points that you make because it's just a tool. Because I have a hammer in my house, and now I bring it over to Jesse's house. That doesn't mean the hammer's not going to still fucking work, right? Like, it's just code. You can still earn trustless yield over there. Is there going to be less users on POW than POS? More than likely. Does that mean it's not going to work? No. Not even slightly. But what I wanted to ask you about is parity, right? So that, for people not sure what that means, it just means the price on both chains is going to be equal, or could, not saying it's going to be, it could potentially be equal, right? 3.5 cent hex on ETH POS, 3.5 cent hex on POW. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Please.
Because will it or could it do that? Here's the thing. When you go to the store and you buy a loaf of bread, right? You're getting a thing that has utility. You can eat it, and you're paying a certain price for it. Okay? Like, whenever you go anywhere, you go and you buy any sort of product, whether it's a software type thingy or it's food or it's a car, you're willing to pay a certain dollar value for that thing. The hex that exists on ETHw functions exactly as it does elsewhere. So psychologically, people are willing to pay the same thing that they would elsewhere. And ironically, if ETH is going down in price, but ETHw is going up in price, okay, like perhaps like the desire to want the one that's paired to something that goes up in price is even greater. Like, it's all a psychological thing, right? What are you willing to pay in dollar terms for this tool that earns you trustless yield? Eventually, ETHw is going to stable out at some sort of price, okay? Maybe it'll be 10, maybe 50, maybe $100, maybe 0.001. Nobody knows.
Check the ETH chart, and it'll do similar.
Right. So you could literally take money, and this is, oh my gosh, fresh money. Don't ever put it in, right? Some weird OGs will tell you that's the biggest risk of your life to put $5 in. But look, eventually the price of ETHw is going to stabilize out. So what you actually have then is a place where you can insert money in, turn that into hex, have trustless yield, and then do whatever you want with it. It's literally just a yield tool. Hex has always been a yield tool. So it doesn't matter what chain it resides on. It still functions the exact same.
And that's why we love Richard Hart, right? Because he thinks about these things. And that's why he knows that if these things aren't immutable sometimes, how they cannot adopt as easily, how they're too sticky, how the new chains come out, efficient trading comes out. The Ethereum is not forever. Richard was doing Pulse Chain to do this, and he said he was going to beat it to market. And what happened was the exact opposite. what happened is that Vitalik beat him to market and with his own product, and that's it. Like that's it. But that doesn't mean that we're not. There's a lot of USD value in Pulse Chain. I will be buying Pulse Chain the second that it's out, so fast, disgustingly fast. I will be doing the exact same thing I did with this because it's opportunity. We were 100x from parity last night, Sam. We were 100 fucking x from parity. We were at a tenth of a penny.
You know what? The people will say, well, you can't get out. Well, first off, you can get ETHw out to multiple exchanges. More exchanges every single hour are adding ETHw. Okay. But the other argument, oh, there's no liquidity. There's actually way more liquidity than people understand or people know. And actually, there's infinite liquidity. Let me explain what that means. So it's ironic. First off, it's ironic that we talk about in the community. Hex is rare. It gets rarer and rarer over time because everyone's staking it. You might want to get some. Okay. And then when it actually becomes so-called rare on a chain because people are getting some, then they're like, oh, wait. No, you can't get out.
I ran out of fiat, sir.
We ran out of the supply. The supply has drained itself. Now what do we do? It's like, well, that's what you wanted to happen on the regular ETH chain. And so it's like, it's just silly.
Well, the problem here is that everyone was ready for a 10,000x and all this stuff because the reason the marketing in that way, it's not illegal, it's not wrong, and it all was true, but it makes people expect gains forever. And Richard literally taught us that gains don't happen forever.
Now, infinite liquidity. Okay. What have we always said is one of the smartest ways to sell or to exit some of your position or whatever? Liquidity providing, right? All that matters is, okay, first off, that's smart to do over on ETH chain, regular ETH chain too, right? You can go sell and you can take some slippage, or you could set a market order, limit order, and you can, extract the most value or whatever whenever you sell a token. All right, you have those two options: market dump or limit order. But you also have the option just to provide liquidity. And oh, by the way, V3 Uniswap single-sided liquidity, so you can literally drop your tokens in there, and it provides it as liquidity. Other people can purchase them from you. And you're not dumping the price on everybody. Okay, that's why Richard likes it so much. Uniswap V3. So we now have that because our propeller head smart guy Alex from the community who built Hedron,
I'll put it in the chat,
launched Uniswap V3 front end over there for us all to use if we so choose.
Are those guys still bearish on Hedron, or have they switched that tune too because they actually have been learning? I mean, remember everyone was saying that Hedron was going to zero and all of this stuff, but it's the same concept. They're just replicated. I mean, it's not the same exact concept, but why did we love Hedron? It was a low liquidity asset with product market fit that no one understood yet. That's why I bought it personally. So I think that this is the same opportunity in itself. Like, it just represents itself again.
Jesse, question on this, right? So I'm going to share this in the chat, but I think that people are going to have issues. So I've looked at so for anybody who is curious to check out this, Alex from Hedron created a front end for V3 on POW. However, adding the network, I'm not able to actually add the network from POW on that front end that I've been able to figure out so far.
Oh, on Alex? Yeah, he explained that in a Telegram yesterday. There's no drop-down menu for it. You have to do it in the wallet.
No, actually there is. There is. If you don't see it, you need to clear your cache on your browser and it'll show up.
Okay. And that should work. Okay, I'm going to share this in the chat. Then I wanted to ask that question first because people are going to have that question. That is the V3 front end. I went through and added up the top 100 pairs of trading on Dex Screener, all 100 of them, and I went through and added up the liquidity. First of all, Hex, like Jesse was saying, you can think of as a brand. And how many people outside of this community use Dex Screener? A lot of people. Now, when they look at this, what is absolutely dominating that list of top 100 token pairs that in terms of trading volume? Hex. Hex is utterly dominating those. So from a branding standpoint, what Jesse was saying, complete domination. If you look at the top three pairs of trading volume, it's like Hex ETH, Hex USDC, and then it's wrapped ETH and Bitcoin or something along those lines. So Hex is dominating. But what I did is I added up all of the liquidity across all the pairs, because people think, oh, liquidity between Hex and Icosa is $2,000, right? But that's not exactly how this works, because these things, there's routing throughout these pools. If you're using something like KyberSwap, it's aggregating the liquidity across all of where a token is located, right? So there's over $143,000 worth of liquidity for Hex on POW at this moment, but you were going to get into infinite liquidity. And if you wanted to finish wrapping that up, Jesse?
Yeah. So there's just two ways to sell. One of them is actually being a liquidity provider, which exits positions. And look, the markets or the social consensus is Hex is pretty cool. It's pretty cool no matter where it's at. People like it. So like the bigger whale liquidity providers should see that and say, wow, perhaps I should add some liquidity over here. One of the biggest challenges on the chain right now is the lack of a stable coin, like an actual stable coin, because the USDC and the USDT are like going to zero. That's one reason why like one single dollar purchased and then on-ramped in onto the exchange will get you like tons and tons and tons of USDC. Like you'll get, I don't know, thousands of them. You'll get, almost 1,000 USDC per dollar. It's because it's literally headed to zero value, the stable coins. Just as I've always said, it's going to happen on Pulse Chain too. The stable coin copies are not redeemable. They go to zero. So that's also skewing like what's happening with Hex, because people know that the stable coins are going to zero. So they dump their stable coins for Hex, and it makes Hex go up, on the charts, it makes it go up. People are doing the same with SHIB and all the other tokens. They're like, oh, look at these worthless DAI because they're not redeemable. Maker protocol doesn't work. And they dump them, and it skews the price of, SHIB. We've said this, or I've said this for a long time. The same exact thing is going to happen on Pulse Chain. You're going to have, if you have stable coins in your wallet, for example, they're going to copy over to Pulse Chain. They're not going to be redeemable at Circle. And you'll say to yourself, oh, I should probably dump these for some Hex or something else I like. You'll dump them, and you'll move the price of Hex up and the price of the stable coin down. Okay? And when thousands and thousands of people do that, what happens is literally Hex goes to the moon. What's happening on ETHw is the exact same thing we've told people is going to happen on Pulse Chain.
Yeah,
but it's this community.
Yes, exactly.
It's
Richard
because
spelled this out, but the community won't listen. He told us in very fine detail over the years why these assets pump. He's not going to talk ass on his own stuff. You got to read between the lines a little bit. Sam's not going to say, oh, one of my products at my thing is worse than all the rest. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has a business, right? Like, to a degree, he says, I do not talk about other people's projects. He makes that extremely clear because it's bad for his brand, what he thinks at least. That's what he thinks about that. So he told us all these low liquidity assets. Hex is going to the moon on every chain. He told us why assets pump. He told us why adoption happens. And he taught us that, and now I can buy 10 billion Hedron for $100. And the supply is the same on that chain. The supply is the same. There's no more. Just because it's less money doesn't mean the supply is any different, guys. So people are going to add liquidity by proxy to these because they have free money now.
Yep. Here's the name of the game in crypto, a pie. Okay, this is the total supply of a token, a ticker symbol. You have a pie, and it's always possible to have low supply, have no slices, or thousands of slices, or millions of slices. None of that matters. All that matters is how big of a piece of the pie can you get? How big of a piece of this whole supply can you get? Can you get half of it? Can you get like a 16th of it? Whatever the case may be, right? The supply doesn't change for the hex over there on ETHw. So literally, if you're able to get a bigger piece of that total supply of this tool that works and is immutable, people are taking advantage of that right now. People are absolutely, first off, swapping their copies. For the safest thing to do is do nothing. Okay, a little bit riskier than that is go grab your copies and send them to a fresh wallet address, and then from there swap them into hex or whatever you want. Okay. Next risky to that would be use the same wallet address, and then riskier than that would be actually bridging some fresh money through an exchange and buy some. Regardless of any of those strategies, except the first one, doing nothing, there are people that are increasing their share of the pie of the hex supply, because that's the name of the game in crypto.
So can you go through each one of those in a little, because we've all done this, right? I'm assuming Jesse did this as well. One of those three strategies, if not all three of those strategies. And we're like ahead of the game, so to speak, relative to a lot of people. And we're trying to provide value to talk about this because people are scared. They don't have any clue what's going on. So let's break it down. Step one, right? I put together like a little guide that we can share, but there's step one.
That link.
Perfect. I put it into the private chat a few minutes ago.
I'll drop it right now, guys. So if you're just busy as crap right now, just go to this video and check it out.
And it's some screenshots, text, or whatever. There's a lot of people that are helpful on that tweet on Twitter. But okay, so step one, the least risky strategy. Sit on your thumbs. Don't do anything.
Do nothing at all. And maybe your reason for doing nothing is because you don't like the chain, or because you're worried about the security over there. Okay. That would be the safest thing in the world to do, is do nothing at all.
I don't know. I think $200 putting it in a safe wallet is more safe. $200 will never ruin anyone's life. $500 will never ruin anyone's life. It's not possible anymore because they print out infinitely. And right now, that amount of money is more dangerous not to spend, in my opinion.
It's perspective. I agree with that.
I'm a noob too, so like I'm not like my bags aren't all packed for the moon. So like, you know what I mean? Like I'm gaining position personally. Like I know Jesse has more money in many different accounts than I do. He's been in this game a lot longer, let's be honest. So the perspective might be different. For me, it's like, oh, I could lose everything by not paying attention to this. That's what it feels like.
Right. And here's what's interesting, right? Maybe there's whales in the community who, from their perspective, the safest thing is to do nothing. Right? Because they're like, you know what, I already got tons of money. I really don't want to put the RPC settings in here. I want to see everything play out. Okay. But then you may see the guy who literally has $50 in his account and it's doing nothing on the ETH chain. And he says, you know what? Maybe I want to go look at my copies. And I just want to peek and see, oh, I actually have copies over there. Okay. So the next safest thing besides doing nothing would be to look at your copies and see them and still do nothing. The next safest thing after that would be to look at your copies, send any free copies of tokens you have to a fresh wallet address.
So okay, let's pause right here and just break this down in a little bit, because we're like, okay, go look at your free copies. People don't know where to do that or how to do that. So it's very, very elementary, very simple. I have a wallet and I want to go look at my shit, right? Like I understand I could sit around and not do anything. I would prefer to.
Well, you could just look on the blockchain explorer. You could, that would be safe. Yep. That would be safe.
You can see your free copies.
Don't even touch MetaMask. Just go to good old Google and type ETHw blockchain explorer. I forget the link here. Google the link real quick and give everyone the link to the blockchain explorer where they can paste their public wallet address, not their seed phrases, their public wallet address, and then look at the contents of their wallet over on the ETHw chain.
Hey, bullish on CyberSwap on the 7-day.
Okay. So you could just not do anything. You can take your address.
I'll be right back and use the restroom.
It's the same, the POW and POS addresses, because I saw some confusion on Twitter on this. They're the same thing. The same thing with the hex contract address. It's not changing. It's the same thing. And when you really think about it, the hex on POW is the OG, not POS. It was deployed on POW, but they're the same contract address for hex, and it's the same address, your public address for your MetaMask, Treasure, etc. It's the same exact one. So you can go through the block explorer. Now, let's take the person who is like, okay, I went through, I saw that I have free coins over there. I would like to take those free coins and send them somewhere else to a different address so that I can swap them and feel more comfortable. What's the first step, right? The RPC and stuff. Can you go through this very, very slowly so that people, right? We got almost 200 people watching this. And that this is the community that's going to understand what's going on here. Mm-hmm. That's why we're dominating the charts, right? That's why we're absolutely dominating. You look at those top 100, it's hex. So how do you go through and take your MetaMask and add in? Go ahead.
You open up a MetaMask. It could be an existing MetaMask or a fresh MetaMask. Hopefully people are using hardware wallets, but I do understand there's people in the community that do not. Regardless, you open up MetaMask. You go to settings. You go down to advanced. There's a little one that says add network, add RPC settings for a new network. You click that. There's like 5 blocks you have to put in the RPC settings for ETHw chain. And you could post that in here as well.
And if you have a bunch of friends with a bunch of money that are doing this too, like if you're close with them, like if you're really new, just call one of them would probably be a great. And then because a lot of guys know how to do this, like Jesse, none of us know how to do this the first time we go through, but we've all done a lot of these things before, so we can just move through them. So this is how you would add those settings, guys.
So you get into MetaMask, as Jesse was saying, and when you click on MetaMask, there's like at the top, right? It says like Ethereum, right? Between the fox head and then the circle icon. So in the middle there, you click that drop down, as Jesse was saying, you click add network. And then this is what needs to be populated in there for you to actually connect to that network, similar to like Optimism or Binance or any other chain. You're going to, and you guys can find this on Twitter. I think GRC shared this in the chat. This is just a simple document I put together. If anybody is curious about doing this now, if you put in $200 and if some crazy, thing happens, like it's $200, right? But this is how you're going to go through and actually take a look at this. So now they go through, they take a look at this. Where do they go from there?
All right. From that point, they need to go to either Blockchain Explorer, preferably OK Link, because it'll show the current contents. Maybe they had moved stuff around over on the ETH chain. So they go to OK Link, the Blockchain Explorer, and they paste their address. And what they'll see is you're able to see the contents of your wallet over there and grab the contract numbers for your tokens, because you have to manually add the contract number into MetaMask for each token that you want to be able to look at.
Or when you're swapping, you can just go to the bottom swap, and in that setting, you can just add the contract address, which is the same on Ethereum, to that, and it'll add automatically to you.
You need to know those contract numbers for the tokens you own. Mm-hmm. So you have to go to the Blockchain Explorer, look at the contents of your wallet, click on each of one of those tokens, and then there's a line that says the contract number, and you can copy that. You can put that into the front end part of MetaMask. You can also put that into any Uniswap, like any swapping platform that you use. You'll also have to put it in there. Otherwise, you won't be able to interact with it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can try, just because there's going to be people who have. Okay.
I would like to look up for each one. Yeah.
So-
So just so people can see it. Yeah.
So this is OK Link, what Jesse was just talking about. This is the contract address. So this is ETHw. Bullish is doing this. So we're going to pull up Hedron. So this is the same contract address. You can do this on ETHscan or EtherScan or this. What Bullish just clicked on
Now.
is. Go ahead.
Yep, you click that right there. There's a little, it copies it. That little paper thing. There you go. Now, we have to be careful when we do this. Remember, there are bad people that like to airdrop scam tokens. So if you're looking at the contents of your wallet and you see a token that you've never purchased yourself, and it's just randomly in your wallet, and often it has a scammy name, like just know, hey, I don't remember buying that ever, and I have like thousands of them. That's weird. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Okay.
And I was gonna say another way, if you don't want to go through OK Link to verify the contract address, you can still use EtherScan. It's still the same contract address. So whether you're copying it from EtherScan or OK Link, you can just view the contents of your wallet on the proof of stake side. You know, go through your assets and copy the address that way if you want. That's how I did it, just to make sure I was copying the correct one. Or, you know, just like Jesse said, you'll have your copies over on the proof of work side, and you can just click on the asset and then copy the address.
Yep. Somebody asks real quick, do our stakes get copied over? Yes. How do you access them? app.icosa.pro.
And Alex was right on top of that stuff, guys. And we talk about a lot of these guys in good favor because they're workhorses, and they make sure that the day something comes out, it's prepared so that we can take advantage, right? Right, guys? Like, we can take advantage. Alex was working. He's always working. He's always ready, and he's always paying attention. And that's why I supported him so much over the last 150 days, because I'm like, man, this is crypto. This is helpful. These guys are pushing. These guys are moving. Comes out with all the information, publishes it. This is the founder. You know what I mean? This is the founder of a coin. And, you know, this is crypto, man. This is just crypto as it gets. Like, whew. And I love it.
Guys, this is awesome. Okay, so now when you go through and you've plugged in everything into here, you can go through and add those to your address. So, Justin, you want to talk about KyberSwap, or like what you do, how do you switch them around and that kind of thing? I put it into this guide, but like there's other ways of going about and switching your tokens for something else. Do you want to talk about, so I've gotten into my wallet. I've sent everything to a new address.
Yeah, so there's KyberSwap. So there's a number of front ends. We can use Alex's, which is a Uniswap front end. It's not aggregating from all the available liquidity pools when you do a swap there yet. At the moment, it's a bare bones Uniswap thing. It's cool, but one dApp that could be used would be KyberSwap.
Hedron on ETH is up 10% on the daily, and Hex on ETH is down 1% on the daily. So interesting there. The reason Hedron moves a little different is because it is so much lower in liquidity, guys, and it's the same concept down the line onto the ETHw chain. Both of these assets have lower liquidity than they do on this chain over there, but the supply is the same. So I can buy up 40% of the fucking supply for 20 grand or whatever it is at the time. You know what I mean? So, but that's not how everyone's going to play it. There's slippage, there's everything. You got to pay attention. So I'm just trying to get the point across to some of the dudes that are learning about liquidity. Like, the reason a price moves, guys, for you guys who don't know, when something is created, let's say Hex on WETH, then there's no liquidity in that asset at the moment until people start going over there and deciding to provide liquidity between another asset so they can earn the fees, because they're speculating that it'll go up in price. And right now, so that's the whole thing, guys. When people start putting money in, that's why when we're talking about this, it's not just imaginary. All four of us are doing that. It's literally not imaginary. Like the reason we're talking about it is because we're doing it. We're providing liquidity. Bullish was playing around with that last night. We were all learning last night on hyperdrive, and it was awesome. And that's what crypto is all about. Those are the people who make it in crypto. That's why Richard says, instead of starting a business, focus on crypto. He tells you that, and then you guys work every single day at a business and tell everyone they're stupid for not DCAing in to ETHw. It's like, that's not the truth. The truth is the opportunities are always going to happen, and you don't need a lot of USD to take advantage. You need this. You need this.
Yes. 100%.
Gray matter, as Sam says, gray matter.
100%. There's already people providing liquidity. Like, we know there's somebody here in the chat, but we also know somebody else who's providing liquidity over there. And as the price continues to grow, if it does,
you know what some people say this reminds them of? The super early days of Hex, when it had zero liquidity and the price was super volatile, and everyone was scared, and they're like, should I buy this or not buy this? Oh, I'm not going to be able to get out. You know, it's a rug pull. Like the exact same things are being said now that were said back then. Now, none of us are telling you to buy some. We're saying you should probably be aware of what you have over on that chain. It's reasonable to believe that stable coins are going to zero, and anything else you have in your wallet is possible to be traded for Hex without you even bringing in fresh money. And then there's, you know, the people who are willing, like, of course, with that, there's always people that say, you know what, I'm willing to bring fresh money in and throw that at it and see what happens as well. So, like, there's all different levels of people. And we don't know what you are in your journey, but it's the best thing is to at least be aware of what's going on that chain. Otherwise, things will be happening all around you and you will get left behind.
I completely agree. And we're not saying by any stretch of the imagination that you should bring fresh money in or even do anything about it. Like, if you're comfortable, if you're happy, if you're like jolly, whatever you're doing, great. This message is not for you. But there's a lot of people in this community who are ahead of the curve relative to other people in crypto who understand what is happening right now and understand that this could be a massive opportunity, right? But if they don't do anything, it's when I think about like the people in business or people in, say, a fight, the person who wins tends to be the one that's aggressive, that's willing to take action and move forward, right? And I'm not saying that anybody should take anything that they're not willing to 100% lose and do anything with that. But these are all things that are happening in real time. People are making money in real time. That's why we're sitting here. This is why we're talking about this.
One guy says people who bring fresh money in are exit liquidity. People who buy any asset, any token at all in the history of crypto are giving up your current crypto for another crypto. Okay, you're putting a token in which lands in the liquidity pool, which other people are able to buy from them. Okay, now, what's interesting about the whole exit.
Your mic is just a little bit muffled.
So retweet this, guys, if you can. Make sure you retweet this. We'll talk a little bit longer. Go ahead.
Yeah. He says you're providing exit liquidity. It's interesting, right?
Doesn't that happen on POS?
That happens on POS. It happens everywhere.
If you buy POS Hex, do you know what you're doing? List out 193.
Yeah,
you, my friend, are providing exit liquidity.
You're putting
you buy anything,
right?
If you buy anything, your exit liquidity, guys. I was buying 27-cent Hex on Ethereum chain.
Somebody was selling to him.
Somebody bought a Ferrari. Okay, and I got fucking nuked.
Right. Now that guy believes, it sounds like he believes that everyone's just going to run an exit from Hex on that chain, which literally is physically
Impossible.
Or it's just impractical. It's just simply impractical. Why?
Nobody takes 10% slippage on any trade if they actually have money.
Why is it impractical that to think that people will just exit all the hex over there on the chain? It's very simple. Because there's yield, and the more people don't do anything, the higher that yield goes. Okay, imagine hex right now with the narrative 36% APY, trustless yield, and then people are not using their stakes. They're letting their stakes not emergency end stake. They're just letting them die off over there on ETHw. What starts to happen to that yield over there? Then it's, wow, why is it 38% over there? Oh, why is it 50% over there? Why is it 100%, 200% trustless yield over on ETHw? When people decide not to use the hex over there, the yield starts to go berserk and insane. So to think that the community is just going to let that happen, where there's hex on ETH chain that's got 36%, but let's let hex over there die and send it to the moon in regards to its yield, that's just impossible. It's impossible. Psychologically, the community is going to look at that yield and then FOMO back into it later.
Yeah, and I'm going to have been sitting here the whole time chilling because I was paying attention, and that's it. That's it. Like, it was just that. It's just that is all it is. I was paying attention. I made the moves. I took the risk. I took the USDC. Some people think $500, $1,000 is going to make or break them. That's weak. You shouldn't be that way if you're in this chat, because this is dangerous territory for that. Very dangerous. You need to be laser locked in. I could lose everything at any moment, but I don't wear it like that because I know opportunities happen all the time. I'm not going to be convinced that this is the last time I can make $1. I'm not going to be convinced that this is the last time that there's an opportunity, because that's what everyone wants you to feel. Like, it's just like when Hedron did a 15x and Dylan from Fiat's like, that's all it's got for the rest of eternity. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, no. That's not how it works. That's not legitimate. Literally could not possibly work like that. So I need the intellectual integrity when you guys are talking to other people to go up, because there's guys that actually listen to you. So you have to be responsible for what you say. That's why I say everything strong, proud, and loud, because I do believe everything that I'm saying is true. And I will say sorry if I'm incorrect.
So remember, you can do nothing. That's perfectly acceptable. It's helpful to understand what other people are doing. Some other people are choosing to look at their assets over there, and some people are choosing to swap their free copies into things that they like. Okay, so the people who did nothing are welcome to watch that happen. And then, like, the fudders who say, how dare you bring fresh money into that chain? You're going to hurt. People are going to get hurt. Okay. Here's the they're giving up their free copies that they'll get on Pulse Chain. Okay. Here's what's interesting. Nobody's selling their hex to do this, by the way.
Not many.
So maybe you have. Imagine the guy who's got stable coins. They're just sitting there because it's a bear market, and he grabbed stable coins because it was a smart thing to do at the top or in the middle, or he just has some stable coins for some random reason. Those have already been copied over to ETHw. Okay. Even if that guy chose to send those stable coins to an exchange, pick up USDT, buy ETHw, and then bring that freshly bought ETHw into the ETHw chain and swap it for hex. And then other people say, oh, but you're giving up your free copy because Richard's forking Ethereum, and now you're not going to have a copy of that USDC you had. You really think that guy gives a shit about his free copy of USDC that goes to zero anyway? Look what just happened to the stable coins on ETHw. They're literally going to zero. So the fudders who say, oh, he should have kept that, gotten a free copy. It's like, so you're advising him to hold something that you know is going to go to zero, and he has to be like the first one to sell out of it when he gets his free copy for him to obtain any sort of value out of it. Like, Come on. This is just a ridiculous circular amount of nonsense.
But even from the branding standpoint, because I think that that's like a easy way to think about this. If just hypothetically, right, there's plenty of people on Twitter who are just thinking that they're using the word rug pull when it's fucking just code, right, without a grasp of what's actually going on. And let's just assume for a second that POW is not extremely successful, right? And it doesn't hold, and that means by proxy, Hex doesn't do super well over there. Well, what do you think that does to the Hex brand versus Hex is successful on POW in spite of everything else that's happening over there? What do you think that does for the Hex brand? Do you think that other people using Dex Screener are going to see that Hex is the top 2 trading pairs, and they're going to be like, "That's so weird." I'm looking.
But they ignored it on ETH. They ignored it on ETH forever. ETH is the third most traded pair on Ethereum, and everyone still ignores it. So there is a little piece of that, but Sam's right. Like, people that are smart will look at that and be like, "Oh, damn, this is what's popping. Like, this is what's good." Let's play that video real quick. I want to see what it is before we wrap up, guys. I'm going to be streaming with heavy hitters all day long. I want everyone's perspective.
I'm gonna play 2 clips. This one we played from the top of the show.
If you make stakes before, you're going to have stakes on 2 chains. And I prefer to see Hex expensive on all chains. I don't prefer to see cheap Hex anywhere. So, having Hex on 2 chains could be quite nice.
Hey, I completely agree with that sentiment there. And I got free Hex because I had some Hex in my bag, and I got free Hex over there on the POW chain.
And now I'm a hedron shark, and I didn't have to spend no money. Yeah.
Did Jesse have any closing words before
Uniswap's trading volume and liquidity for a long time? And, now it's still top 18 or 19 liquidity. And their liquidity is being subsidized. So they have oversized Ethereum and wrap Bitcoin and USDC volume because it's being subsidized by this Uni token. And Hex is still top 18. And by the way, the liquidity's gone up. So if you go to uniswap.info and you click liquidity, you can see the chart. It goes up. And, it tends to go up when the price of Ethereum goes up. And then, people get rug pulled all the time. Right, so they'll buy a coin and they'll be feeling really rich, and they'll go to sell it, and then there's nobody fucking buying, and the shit is at 0, right? Well, if you look at the liquidity on the Hex ETH pair, it's been going up for a long ass time. 70% dip. Who gives a fuck? Liquidity is still there, right? Like,
it's not an issue with Hex at all.
I don't think so. And people have this misunderstanding, right? They're like, "Oh my God, there needs to be, the market cap's like what, 5 billion? Okay, there needs to be like 100 billion of liquidity there," because they're just idiots. Like, they don't understand anything about markets. You're like, okay, let's do that experiment, right? Houses have values, right? Okay. Is there a fucking liquidity pool, an order book for houses sitting somewhere where there's a bunch of fucking liquid house bids just waiting? No. But bro, who's gonna buy your fucking house, bro? There's no fucking order book full of bids waiting for your house. No, that's not the way markets work. People are just stupid. Go add up Bitcoin, add up its bid side support, right? You can go to bitcoinity.org and click the combined order book and add up the bid support, and then see how it compares to the fucking market cap. Every market in the world has market caps vastly in excess of what the fucking bid support is, period. Because it wouldn't be capital efficient, right? Like, if everyone had to just take all of their capital and sit it dormant in a fucking order book, you wouldn't have efficient markets anywhere.
That was a good video. Something we've been talking about all freaking morning.
And that's why I watched everything Richard ever published, because I wanted to know for certain what his stance was. And then we can counteract that on Jesse's stance and Sam's stance. And if a bunch of geniuses are coming to the same conclusion in the same room at the same time on the same concepts with the same code and the same fiat, I don't have to fucking spell it out for you guys. I want you to learn this because Richard wants you to learn this. He's only going to let the people that are truly going to be saved because the market is there and he's teaching you about it. He can't change everything. Hex is a flexible asset and it's immutable and it will go on. And that's why Richard is so smart, in my opinion, because so many people did not pay attention to the detail when they launched their project. Even Vitalik struggled with all the updates and everything, like, you know, making a roadmap, all these things. It's a hard situation for everyone. But guys, if you're thinking that Vitalik's not the most credible man in the space, you are wrong. He is. And there's a reason why we're excited about this, because it's real and it's the most poppin' ass thing. And now we can buy the same asset that we love so much and get a bigger portion of it for pennies on the dollar. If you don't understand this as an opportunity, then you need to start understanding why the price moves, why low liquidity assets pump, but low liquidity with product market fit in a community and a founder who's there and updating everything, they can't stop. They literally, by definition, cannot stop unless something like the community just tells everyone not to do anything about their hex on other chains. And that's the fight that I'm fighting, is for intellectual integrity and the truth. And I think that all of us are kind of in that same boat, because it's easy to capitalize on this stuff if you're very focused.
And there could be a bridge that comes out. I personally wouldn't test a bridge at this point. I think a centralized exchange.
There's one out already that was tested, but I don't want to shill it either.
Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't personally thank you, Bush. I wouldn't personally use a bridge at this point, folks. I like, for myself, would use a centralized exchange that supports ETHw, so that you can get ETHw if that's your take on this and that's how you want to approach it, because you're thinking for yourself and you this is what you want to do, because we're not trying to say you should FOMO into this. This could be a massive opportunity for some people to make a boatload of money, or it could just sit sideways for quite a long time. I think that this will continue to appreciate, but how a bridge works, right? Assuming that there's a trustless bridge or a very high quality bridge that doesn't have risk, you have POW and POS. So you can go back and forth, right? And the assets sit at the bridge. So if you have POS and you take that and you bring that in to the bridge, then you get wrapped hex from 2.0 on POW, right? That's a mouthful to try to grasp that mentally. But that effectively is holding that price there. And you could potentially do this and use hex and get larger amounts. And I'm not saying anybody should do this at all at this moment in time. We will see how this plays out into the future. But that capacity to do that is what kind of ties those liquidity pairs all together, which, in my personal opinion, I think is what will be needed to get closer to parity at some point, if that happens, right? If Jesse had any closing words here, Jesse, go ahead and do your closing words. If not, I appreciate you guys. Go check out Twitter, right? My Twitter's down below. GRC's Twitter down below. That's where all this information is taking place. On Twitter, in the comments on Twitter, interacting with people on Twitter. It's happening like this. Like, people were up, like, I don't stay up past 10 o'clock 99.9% of the time. Last night I was up till midnight doing shit like this and helping people out.
I stayed up till 4 in the morning helping people out, walking people on how to buy, sell, whatever they want to do.
I was talking smack on Twitter, drinking a little my girl had a party and they all made drinks and then vote on which one's the best. And they were all like fruity, you know, like I'm just sipping a little bit. So I was just drinking and talking crap on Twitter all night, letting people know in a loud and proud way that we are correct, but not like, oh, you need to pump the chart, you're going to lose all your money. It's just a concept, guys. And we're just teaching you it. And when people give me FUD and start telling me what I'm doing wrong, I automatically know they're perma-wrecked, because all I'm doing is helping. What am I doing that's hurtful? Other than when people come at me, I say funny things back. Other than that, like, nothing. All I do is come on here and try to give the most up-to-date information every single day. And that's what I spend my entire life focusing on. And I'm not afraid to say that, guys. 800 subs until 800 Twitter followers until 10,000, guys. I'm getting close. I can't wait. I don't really know if it matters, and I don't really care, but it's a fun number to look at. Way more fun than the 9,300, whatever. So get on there, guys. I'll be live all day.
It actually matters because you can get verified. and because there's already right now floating around. Actually, let me shout this out real quick. If everyone go and report Jim Rat Cryptos with an S. It's still floating around, acting like Jim Rat on Twitter. So, and this is a good reason why we need Jim Rat to get at 10,000 so he can get verified.
Because Gunther makes many addresses. I'm kidding, guys. Come on, let's all get out of here. Everybody. Hey, I haven't seen too much trading volume on Pulse Doge over there, guys. Make sure. I'm just kidding. Don't take that. Blah 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 blah.
Let's go out with some DeFi proof.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phones.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phones.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedge on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim Rat sent me to show you the way.